The Native Union jump cable exhibits a strong case of what I call the Kickstarter conundrum. Is this product an example of mere curiosity, sort of a crowd-funded Sky Mall, or is it an example of actual innovation? Again, on the one hand, you have the wildly successful Kickstarter campaign and accolades from a variety of gear and tech sites. But on the other hand, if you start looking into the abyss of the comm boxes, the criticism seems strong. So in this video, we're going to take a close look at this device. I'm going to share my real-world experience with it in an attempt to ascertain the place these cables may or may not have in our attempts to carry actually useful items. Let's begin with some contextualization. Now, it's certainly true that after my wallet, my phone occupies primacy of place in my pockets. Now, it's somewhat ubiquitous to say this, but my cell phone is definitely the most used item on my person. Other generations may do with landlines or pagers, but my cell phone maintains really functional primacy. Now, the jump drive occupies an interesting place for people like me that are depending on their cell phones for all kinds of necessities throughout the day. We're faced inevitably with inadequate batteries, a serious problem which has not been solved by major cell phone manufacturers at this point. So, what's the problem here? In my experience, the gear that we use is the gear that's on your person. And to be honest, I'm not one to carry a bag or a fanny pack unless I have a specific reason to. Guided by this practical logic, weight, size, and overall form factor, and an attempt to minimize the mall ninja phenomena, take precedence in the things that I actually decide to have with me. In this attempt to keep things simple, I'm going to leave my battery packs in my glove box or in my office. I'm not going to keep them with me, nor am I going to be interested in humiliating the form factor of my phone with some kind of Morphe case. And although this is somewhat debatable, I've found the Anchor-style miniature battery packs still too large to carry in person, especially considering that you usually have to have some kind of proprietary cords with them. Taking these various difficulties into consideration, we can enter into the Native Union jump. Now, this unit is packaged and marketed as cables for your phone that happen to have an extra battery charger. Now, I think that that's spun kind of because the battery charger is weak, and if you sold this battery charger, it really isn't very powerful compared to some of the relatively cost-competitive options. The problem with this marketing strategy is that the reason why you would buy the jump cables is because of the extra battery that the cables afford. You see, the thing is that when these cables are wrapped up around the battery base, they're nothing more than about 4 square inches, and they only weigh 1.4 ounces. Now that's about a half to a third of the size or half of the third of the weight compared to comparative battery chargers in the same price point. Again, from a practicality standpoint, we need to think about this. How often do you need to fully charge your phone with a battery charger? Probably not too often, at least if you're plugging in your phone at the available outlets that you have. Rather, these chargers are serving a purpose of filling in the times when your phone's going to die, but you're not close enough to your car or your office or your home where you're going to be able to easily plug this phone in and get it charged. You're talking about a small period of time where you're going to need a charge to make a call or to check an email or to post crap on Instagram, but you are not going to be able to stop to charge it. Let's try to put it in a little bit more serious terms. I'm going to tell you a story. I keep my phone regularly charged. I charge it every night before I go to bed, and I charge it at work. But nevertheless, there are times when I'm using it enough that the battery is going to get run down. Now, I was taking a trip for work at one point this winter, and being in rural Iowa, the weather was inclement. I put my car in a ditch, actually. Yeah, it actually happened. It was very unfortunate. And during that time, I happened to have my phone charged properly so that I could make all the calls that I needed. By the time help had arrived, my phone was almost dead. Now, suppose something had gone wrong in that situation. In that point, I would have really appreciated having a phone charger with me. Now, why didn't I have my larger cell bank with me? Because it required certain cords that I didn't want to stick in my glove box along with the cell. In other words, it was too cumbersome. This is a unit with built-in cables that can be flexibly used as a phone charger, or simply function as a pair of cables to sync to your phone or to an available outlet, while simultaneously charging the battery built into the jump cables at the same time. Overall, the bottom line for me of these cables is that they are a compact and lightweight battery charger with enough charge to deal with a lot of the everyday usages that a battery charger might need to supply. So let's talk some negatives now that I've given the key positive. First of all, the tolerances are too tight on this device. You'll notice that the rubber cables have gotten, for lack of a better word, snotted up by the plastic case because they fit in so tightly. Now, normally tight tolerances, of course, are something to be praised, but when it results in the item actually being damaged as a result of the tolerances, this is something that requires some consideration. In the next version of this jump cable, which I hope we see a 2.0, I would like to see some sort of easier access to the cables, whether it's a notch or whether the cables are made out of a different rubber material, something to enable us to easily access these cables without damaging them, while still retaining them in a very sturdy way. Another problem I have with the product is its price as it's currently offered at $50. I think a more reasonable price is what I paid for on Kickstarter, which was about $35. The fact that they can sell it at $35 in the first place means that you're basically looking at a price markup at this point. But again, overall, the lightweight and diminutive size has enabled me to find a place for jump cables in my pocket for regular carry, something that no other battery chargers have been able to find. And considering the ability to sync the cables with your computer when you're using it outside of a carrying situation, we have a product that I think is not merely meeting a niche, but could be found to be a useful tool for those who are regularly using their smartphones on a daily basis. So do you think the jump cables would serve a role in your everyday carry? Do you rely on your smartphone enough that you need cables or a battery charger like this? Let me know in the comments below. Please feel free to check out my other vids, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks a lot.